Shalom everyone, I'm Amir Tsarfati. We are here at Connect in the Jezreel Valley in Galilee, and today we have a very different Q&A to share with all of you here. It's not Pastor Barry Stagner that is sharing it with me from Southern California. Today, the whole team, both the people that are asking the question as well as the two that will answer your questions, are here at Connect. Yes, you guessed that right. We have a tour group of some very brave people that made it to Israel, even though there are so many rumors of wars in regards to the situation in the Middle East. They made it. It's about 30 people from America, Japan, Australia, and we are going to have this group, our group, asking the questions today, and Pastor Mike Golay and myself will answer them. So Pastor Mike, shalom, good evening.
Shalom. This is a very special tour. It's the first one of 2026. We also have the Jordan component. And as you said, the brave souls that have made a decision on their own free will. Even some of their family members didn't necessarily agree to be here at such a time as this. Today was a phenomenal day.
It was.
And it was a very successul day, and we expect the rest of the trip to be very successful.
Yeah, we started a day in Joppa where we studied about how Peter was a very, very obedient person to the calling of the Lord to share the good news with the non-Jews, with the Gentiles, following probably Jonah, who also received that task to go to a non-Jewish city in Nineveh, which is Iraq of today, and warn them and ask them to repent. Of course, both cases, originally they said no, but then God changed their mind somehow. Yeah. And of course, Nineveh, the whole city repented then. And of course, when it comes to Peter, we know exactly that the outcome of Peter's obedience is seeing all of the people here today sitting with us and all of you guys that are watching from all over the world. We moved on then to Caesarea, where Peter actually shared the good news with Cornelius and his family and his household. And we ended up the day on Mount Carmel, where Elijah had this amazing contest with the prophets of Baal and Asherah. And now we're here in the heart of the Jezreel Valley. And what we're going to do is this. People have microphones. They're going to ask the question. Mike, you're going to repeat it. Yep. And then we're going to try and answer as best as we can.
So our group has been instructed to ask any question about the Middle East, Israel, Bible prophecy, and the Bible. It's a very special opportunity, and I wish you could all see this group. They're a fine group of people. So let's begin our question and answer time. We'll have our hands up, and then we'll get a microphone to you so the video feed or the audio feed can hear you clearly, and then I'll reiterate the question. Matt has the first question.
Okay, there you go.
Alrighty. Two questions about the coming global, the coming global empire that's going to be taking over the entire 7-year tribulation. There have been many speculations about, is this global empire going to be like America, or is it going to be some other kind of nation? What is the actual biblical case for this being a type of revived Roman Empire? And two, what are the present conditions in Rome now that can basically prepare for that?
So your question, to summarize, really is, what is going to be the culture of the future, so-called Roman or global or whatever many people are calling it, and who's going to be behind it? Mm-hmm. That's quite an awesome question. It's part of the book of Revelation. Amir, what do we know about that?
So first of all, in regards to the hints about the Antichrist rising from Western Europe, it's very simple. When you read in Daniel chapter 9 about the emperor that is going to, at the time of Daniel, it was a future event, that he will come and he will destroy Jerusalem and the temple. Obviously, that's the Caesar or the Caesar or the emperor of the time of the Roman Empire, first century. Now, when Daniel was talking about those 70 weeks, the time of the destruction was within the framework of the end of the 69 weeks. And then he moves to describe the 70th week, the last week, and he's not talking about someone from a completely different part of the world. He continues with the same language, but he's talking about something that is obviously a future event. Because if the temple was destroyed after 69 weeks, how come a new leader will stop the sacrificial ceremonies halfway through if there is no temple? So obviously there will be a new world leader. He's going to increase Hegbir Brit, to somehow cut a better covenant, a covenant that will not just be peace, but also include the temple component. He will allow the building of the temple, the resumption of the sacrificial ceremonies, and halfway through, stop them. So we believe that if Daniel, who described this whole thing, did not differentiate geographically these two people, that means they could come from the same place. In regards to the global empire, the Antichrist may come from Western Europe, but the idea of the world as it is today is definitely not applicable, because we believe that the division of the world will be completely different. The Bible speaks in the book of Revelation about 10 kings that will not receive yet their power, and they will receive their power and then obviously let the Antichrist be above them. In other words, our world will be redivided to different alliances, such as what the EU is today, or USA is today, or the Soviet, not Soviet, but Russia. The whole area will be redistributed. Because remember, Russia, for example, I'll give you an example. Russia will be defeated on the mountains of Israel in Ezekiel 38. So what's going to happen to that part of the world? Someone else is going to have it in a completely different setup of geographical and political entity. I also believe there will be shifts in the political arena in Asia. We don't know how, but it will happen. The whole world will be redivided, and there will be 10 kings that will be overseeing 10 different parts of that kingdom. We don't know what it will look like now, because it's not there yet. We're not there yet. But we do know it will happen, and we do know that this is how, in a much more effective way, the Antichrist is going to rule the world. Mm-hmm. So that's as far as your question is concerned. So.
And I'd also remind you too, and we've talked a lot about this over the years, the more urban you get in today's day and age, the more consistent the cultural values will be. There are usually going to be a lot more openness to rogue sexuality, anti-Semitism, or going back in time for many of the religious persuasions. And so any religion goes. They're going to want one world order, tolerance, acceptance. And that's that Babylon that you brought up, the confusion, the melding pot globally. And we're doing more communication now than ever in history. We're doing more travel now than ever in history. And we have more technology to link us ever in history. And so all of these pieces are converging even now.
But I also want to remind all of you that if the Antichrist is going to allow the Jewish people to build another temple, that means that anti-Semitism as it is today will come to an end. Understand what I'm saying? Obviously, there will be a deceptive spirit of this is the temple of God. Jewish people will believe this is the temple of God. And then when the moment comes, he will actually demand to be worshipped as if he is God, as 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says. So there is going to be great deception that will make the current shape of anti-Semitism different. Now everybody hates the Jews. So the last thing they want is for the Jews to do well and for the temple to be built instead of, on the Temple Mount. It's not going to work right now. At the moment, the Islamic mindset will not allow a Jewish temple on Temple Mount. Something has to happen, and I believe that's the Ezekiel War that will bring about the end of radical Islam and will bring about a beginning of an era of great deception that will, on one hand, cause the world to receive a world leader and cause the Jews to think that these are messianic times. And when these two things happen, you can reach a situation where a temple is built in Jerusalem. Everybody think this is the right guy. And then he shows his true face when he demands to be worshipped as if he is God. And he wants to be worshipped at the temple of God. So, bottom line, anti-Semitism is going to rise until the Ezekiel War will bring about the end of radical Islam. Things will shift, things will change, and the Antichrist, who wants to be liked by the Jewish people, because he's supposed to be their Messiah, remember, he will bring about a deceptive spirit that will deceive the world to receive him and the Jews to accept him.
Mm. Yeah, excellent. Let's move on to the next question. Who's next? Slip up your hand. Okay, we got several here. We'll start on the front here. Okay, then we'll come over to Philip.
Do you believe the Ezekiel War will include nuclear exchange?
Ooh, Amir, what do you think? Will the Ezekiel War involve nuclear warfare, weapons?
There's a book here on the shelf. Look, the bottom line you need to remember from the Ezekiel War is that God will win in a supernatural way. And so we are not going to win because of any use of any great weapon. Now, will the armies that are coming against us try to hit us with whatever they have? I'm pretty sure they will. What is it? We have hints in the 39th chapter of Ezekiel as of the things that will be burning for a certain time, and they will have to be left somewhere in the area of the Dead Sea to be burning for that long. So there are some hints, but I just think that our enemies will see that they're facing something much bigger than the IDF. The IDF will have almost no role in that war, if you really think about it. The one that will fight is not the IDF, it's the God of Israel. And he will do it in a very amazing and supernatural way. And so the enemy will use whatever the enemy can. And you can sail with your imagination when it comes to the types of weapons they will use.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up the disposal period, and
yeah, again,
it's all conjecture.
Yeah.
There's a lot of excitement around, will that nuclear power, will it power Israel? Will they be creative with this whole thing? It's written, but we don't have the details. That's the frustration. We all want details. We want to all map it out, and we all want to know.
Yeah. Well, one thing is for sure, the enemy will be defeated on the mountains of Israel by the God of Israel. Yeah. And God will use it to get the glory and to convince the whole world that he is God. That's what we know. I think that it makes sense that the most powerful weapon of men is no match to the simple things that God can do. So it could be so. Yeah.
So let's go on over to Philip's question. Philip from Switzerland is with us tonight.
Philip, you guys were actually on our tour in the footsteps of Paul.
Yes,
In Greece and in Rome. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So my question is, what happens to Iran?
Oh.
Iran wants to erase and destroy Israel. If there will be a change of government in Iran and Iran would become a friend of Israel as it was before the mullahs came, and then we have the Ezekiel 38
Mhm.
war where we know that Iran is against Israel. And now the question mark is, what will happen?
Correct.
So this is really the very relevant question given the circumstances literally right now. You've reported a ton on this about in Telegram. So Amir, will you please unpack this for Philip?
49 years ago, yesterday, 47 years ago, yesterday, Ayatollah Khomeini landed from Paris and basically started what's known to be now the Islamic Republic of Iran. And remember, then the first is Islamic Republic of Iran. The idea of this radical regime is not just to rule Iran. Iran was supposed to be the platform that will export the Islamic revolution. So they created the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And the idea is that it will serve as the very loyal arm of the Islamic regime, but also as the arm of the regime to export this thing to the rest of the world. As such, you understand that their calling is not just to rule a country. Their calling is to, A, cause the Shiite faith to spread, and also to somehow enhance and expedite the end times prophecies that they believe in. And destroying Israel serves that purpose. So when you come to look into who these people are, what they believe in, you understand that this is not a regime that will allow anyone to topple. It's not a Maduro regime. It's not someone who will wake up with his pajama in the middle of the night and allow people to take him to a helicopter and be flown to New York City. This is a regime that will butcher hundreds of thousands of their own in order to preserve themselves. And this is a regime that will do whatever it takes in all means they have to preserve their power. They have tens of thousands of ballistic missiles, coast-to-sea missiles, cruise missiles, drones, and other weapons. If they think that the goal is to topple them, they will use everything in their disposal. And I think that when President Trump, a couple of weeks ago, was about to order a strike, I think he was schooled by everybody around him. If you really think about toppling the regime, expect a tenfold response than what anybody had during the 12-day war. And that's why he immediately stopped it. And that's why 2 weeks later, the American forces are not enough to withstand an Iranian response. And this is why in the last 24 hours, the music has changed. The music is no longer, we will topple the regime. The music is now, we want to reach what? A deal with the regime. We want negotiations. We want somehow, bottom line is the regime stays in power. It just has to relinquish its nuclear and ballistic missiles programs, and that's it. Personally, as you suggested, I believe that the Ezekiel scenario is a given. God's word is 10 times more accurate than the news today and circumstances around us. So it's not a question of will Iran join a coalition against Israel. It's not a question because we know it will happen. The question is what's going to happen between today and that point. I find it very hard to believe that in between where we are today and the Ezekiel War, there's going to be a cycle of peaceful government, another set of peace agreement with Iran, and then another Islamic revolution, and then another hostile regime. It is way more likely, based on Bible as well as reports that we get from the area, is way more likely that somehow the regime will reach an agreement that will keep them in power. All they want is to kill the time until President Trump is no longer the president. We're talking about how long? Less than 3 years. Less than 3 years. They're masters in negotiations and they're masters in deception. And so my assessment is either America will strike but not topple, or America will reach a deal and not topple. And even if the current regime will be toppled, no one tells you that this country will have a peaceful transition of power and will one day become the best friend of Israel. Now, this is a wishful thinking. This is something I wish to see. In fact, I hope I'm wrong in all of my prediction right now. But since my opinion doesn't really matter, but what the Bible says matters, then you're right. The Bible clearly indicates that Persia will join Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal, and will join Gomer and the house of Togarmah, Put, and Cush in their attack on Israel. I know that it's not probably the answer that the brave Iranians wish to hear. I wish I could tell them that tomorrow there will be a regime change. I wish I could tell them that the day after tomorrow there will be peace agreement with Israel. I wish I could tell them that the Islamic Revolution is over and that the Islamic Republic of Iran is no longer in existence. I want to be the first one to say that. But wishful thinking is one thing and reality is another. And the reality is that it's a big country. It's a very divided one made of so many different minorities. It's going to be very, very hard to topple the regime and have a peaceful transition of power to someone that is in love with Israel.
Yeah, to further enhance what he's saying here, if we were to roll back the clock, Philip, and we were told even in December that the Crown Prince was going to try to organize some kind of takeover, Trump immediately, when these people started to press in against the Ayatollah and the mullahs, Trump said, "We got your backs." And so that increased the intensity. And to our embarrassment, and I will say as an American, I'm embarrassed that we didn't come through for them to their level of expectations. And so they have Islamic mullahs everywhere controlling a lot of the mines. They've built up the infrastructure to be a military country. The people have no weapons. They were suppressed, and tens of thousands of them are dead. Very sad.
Yeah. And what happened in Gaza, as far as death toll in 2 years and 3 months, actually almost happened in 48 hours in Iran. But unlike Gaza, the Iranians were civilian and unarmed, and they never really committed any massacre before. Whereas in Gaza, it's a different story. And so, look, I think the protesters also know that without arming them and without help on the ground, there is no amount of air raids that will ever topple that regime. There's no way. So if you want to topple a regime, certainly a ruthless as the one that we are dealing with, it has to be a very calculated move with a lot of heavy weaponry that should flow into that area, and it has to be from the ground as well. And as long as it's not done that way, the chances for that are slim.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. I think they know that as well. What they were hoping is that help will come from the ground, not just from the air. What they were hoping is that while America will drop bombs from the air and maybe somehow eliminate the leader, someone else is going to give them help from the ground as well.
Yeah. And biblically, we know that as tragic as this is, biblically we know Iran will in fact join Russia and Turkey to invade Israel in the future.
And maybe after the Ezekiel War, when the Iran that hates Israel will be defeated, we will see a free Iran. We will see those people finally getting what they want. Could be, and I hope I'm right. But to get to the point where a country like Iran will join a coalition that will come and invade Israel in order to destroy it, you have to have a very hostile regime. And this is what we have right now. Now, if I'm wrong and tomorrow the regime is toppled, then I assume the Ezekiel War will take place, but not as soon as I thought it would be. That's all. And you know, I would be okay with that also. And that's all I can say.
Well, excellent use of time so far. Ceci has a question. Let's get her question up.
Shalom, Mike and Amir. Thank you for inviting us to your beautiful Connect Center. It is miraculous. It's beautiful here. My question got partly answered. It was regarding President Trump, who, in my opinion, is been the best president for the United States, has been the best friend of Israel, since I would say President Truman, Nixon, and possibly President Reagan. But my question is two, actually. One is, what specific advice would you give to President Trump today regarding Iran, the Middle East, Israel? And my second question, which I've been curious, I have my own opinion about this one, is who would be the best suited to carry on the legacy of President Trump, J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio?
Oh, so that's kind of on the second half, political question. The first one is more in the sense of, Trump, good friend of Israel. He's a human being. He can make mistakes. He's made mistakes. How would you gauge what her question is on Trump and the welfare of Israel? How do you foresee the next few years of his presidency? And like she said, what advice would you give him?
Well, let's start with, I agree that President Trump is by far the best president that America had, and definitely the best friend Israel had in the White House. There's no doubt about that. And I will also admit that a lot of us had big doubts whether any of the hostages will ever get back. And to speak today, February 2nd, and to know that we just went through the first weekend without any Israeli hostage in Gaza, it is miraculous. And much of it has to do with the way he did things. So even if you don't agree with the way he's doing things, eventually you need to judge it by the outcome. And the outcome is that Israel is in Gaza. 53% of Gaza is still controlled by Israel. All the hostages, whether dead or alive, are back. And phase 2 is about to begin, which is disarming Hamas and demilitarizing the Gaza Strip. If you told me a year ago that we will be at the point where all the hostages are back, Israel still controls 53% of Gaza, and we're at the point where Arab countries are signed on a paper that actually obliges Hamas to disarm and Gaza to be demilitarized, I would think you're crazy. And here we are at the point where it is a reality. Every time somebody doubted Trump's stance on Israel, and for the most part, it's the Israeli left, the liberal left, that never liked Trump to begin with. And throughout the whole past year, always thought that here, now Trump is about to stab Netanyahu in the back. No, okay, it's not now. Now. Okay, it's not now. Now it is. They're always waiting for it, and they're always being proved wrong. So I think that Trump has in his mind, the world is divided to the bad guys and the good guys. And I think that Israel is on the good guys' side in his mind, in his world. I also believe that the way he does things is different. However, now we're coming to your second part of the question. I believe that the Republican Party and the conservative camp in America has been infiltrated and is heavily deceived and is filled with a lot of anti-Semitic people. And I think that we are losing the younger generation of that conservative camp due to the fact that many of them are following certain influencers that are, I don't have any other way to describe it, they're demon possessed. That's the only way I can describe it. They're obsessed with Israel. They have a demonic spirit in them. And even now with this, everything that happens, they will immediately look at it through the filter of Israel is the problem. Doesn't matter what the issue is, Israel is the problem. So my outlook for the coming 3 years is that President Trump will stick with us, but it will be more and more and more difficult for him. And I do believe that eventually, with the way things are going, as much as I wish Rubio will be the successor, which I think would be a much better thing, I think the way things are moving and the way the younger generation is pressing and pushing, I think it's likely that Vance will be the preferred option, just to make sure that they get the maximum support and not lose support to the Democrats. Which means that I do believe that the time is coming when America, from both sides of the house, will no longer be standing with Israel. If it used to be 90% or 95% of the House standing with Israel, because there was always that little Islamic part in the Democratic Party that was always against us. Now the gap is getting bigger and it's getting wider and wider, and we see pockets not only in the Democratic Party but also within the Republicans. And I think that Trump himself, during the Hanukkah party at the White House, said to the Jewish people, "You're losing support in Congress. It's no longer an automatic support that we used to have. That's it." The good thing is, the God of Israel does not need America to protect Israel. The God of Israel can also use his own power by ways of earthquakes and brimstones and fire and all of that, which he will use in order to win the war. As I alluded earlier today, when we were in Caesarea, my concern is not if Israel will survive. My concern is, where are you going to be? On which side will you find yourself when Israel is going to survive? And I'll be as honest as I can with you. America is moving in the wrong direction. And at least when it comes to that particular issue. And the good thing is, when we get to the point of the Ezekiel War, we'll find ourselves alone, as the Bible says. But the God of Israel will intervene and fight for us. So I trust President Trump and his judgment when it comes to how to do things here. I believe that all the other politicians tried everything else and everything else failed. But I also think that he is the last president and leader in America that will be as close of a friend to Israel. And I think that there will come a day when we will all miss him. And we're going to see a lot of populist ideas and very, very, very sad way of looking at things. Even, I mean, we just had a few days ago the International Memorial Day for the Holocaust. And you could see that a lot of people, when it comes to people in power, had a hard time saying the right words. In many of the television channels, they said that 6 million people died. Who are the 6 million people? There's only one group of people that were 6 million, because many more people died in World War II. But 6 million, we're talking about Jewish people. 6 million Jews were murdered. When you say 6 million people, and because you have a hard time using the word Jews, then don't even commemorate this Holocaust Memorial Day, because it was all about that. The word Holocaust is a word that is used for the mass killing and murdering of the Jewish people. So you cannot just talk about 6 million people. But that alone tells you that we're being re-educated and we're being brainwashed, basically. The people, a generation from now, people will not even know what the Holocaust was all about, and if the Holocaust ever happened. So, yeah, I don't have a great outlook when it comes to American politics, but I will tell you this. The Bible says not to grow weary in doing good. the fact that you see something goes the wrong direction doesn't mean you need to go the wrong direction. And the fact that you see bad trends doesn't mean you need to be part of it. You need to do good, and in due time, you will receive your reward. Doesn't mean it's going to be instant, doesn't mean it's going to be tomorrow, may not even be in this world, but we need to always strive to do the right thing. So even if your country, if you're Americans, if you're Australians, you already know your country is in the wrong direction. But I'm just saying, even if you look at a country that goes the wrong direction when it comes to Israel, at least you need to sound your voice and be in the right place, the right side of history.
Yes, Essie, we do what we can, but let's just remind everybody from a pastoral perspective, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. We don't have to love our country with all our heart, mind, and soul. We love the Lord with that, and that was the values that drove the foundations of the United States. So the more we do that, the more we vote towards that, the more we prolong the beauty and the strength of the United States. Secondly, the prophecies, especially of the end times, surround Israel, support of Israel, and preaching about the truth of how Israel is the cog that makes all of the sense in the interpretation of how all these cogs come together. And so it seems like President Trump has at least some understanding of that, but certainly from a political standpoint. Hopefully any leader will project the values of the Bible and strength of leadership and have results. Otherwise, we should all be encouraged that we already are worshiping the Lord and the God of Israel, and our future is secure and inevitable in that sense. And we do what we can with our own sinful, fallen countries of what tools the Lord has allowed us to as responsible citizens. So we're nearing the end.
Really?
I believe we have one more question.
Right.
Let's come right here and ask. Yeah, Kathy. Let's get Kathy's question.
So I was in a Bible study, and I've heard this from a couple different places, where they said when the Babylon is fallen, and they said that's America.
Okay.
And I thought that didn't sound right.
Okay.
Give me your comments on that, because I don't know how to really speak to that other than the Bible. We're so ethnocentric in America that everything revolves around us. And it's like, but the Bible is all about Israel and the land.
Yeah.
So can you comment on that?
Babylon has fallen, the great mystery. This is in Revelation 17:18. Amir, you've spoken and taught a lot about Book of Revelation. You wrote a book about it. Again, it's kind of relevant to what Matt was asking in a sense, but let's cover that section.
Well, I do believe that Mystery Babylon is definitely not physical Babylon, okay, of Iraq of today. That's what I am sure about. But I will tell you that the more we look into Babylon, we look into a system rather than a specific country. We look into a financial system, a political system, and a cultural and religious system. All of that is going to fall. All of that. Now, description of a specific location of the people in the ships, will see that things are destroyed, and from afar, it's a very picturesque description that is not necessarily talking about America, because not all of America is right next to the shores, okay? And not all of Europe is next to the shores. Not all. So that obviously is a picture that John had of a complete system that the world is going to be made of, that is honoring wealth and worships wealth worships men and men's system and worships the Antichrist and is not in any shape or form following the Lord, all of that is going to fall down. All of that is going to come and crash, which means the confidence that people have in the worldly systems of the future will have to come to an end because it will come and collapse. I don't personally necessarily think that it is America. In fact, take your index finger, press right here. I'll take you back to Ezekiel, which we all agree has to happen before the tribulation. Already then, America is not there to help Israel. One must ask himself why. Why the biggest ally of Israel in the whole world is not there to physically, militarily be there to help Israel in its most difficult hour. There's a good there's a good chance that an implosion will already happen. There's also a good chance that the rapture took place and that paralyzed America in a way. So it doesn't have to be America necessarily as Babylon. America today is a big force, but if you move forward, not too long from now, it won't be. It won't be. And the Antichrist is not going to come from America. And so why would America be that which won't be that big of a deal then? So I'm not one of those that will put America as a mystery Babylon from Revelation 16 and 17. I don't personally think so. And one of the main reasons is I think America, even way before that, will no longer be the world superpower. Okay.
Yeah, let's we still have time for at least one more question. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question because from a perspective of someone not from not from the West okay. I would like to ask a question
And by the way, you're from Hong Kong, just so our audience understands.
Yes.
Or were you going to say that?
I would like to stand from someone that as a Asian countries.
Yeah.
Because we, apart from biblical perspective, like why Israel or Jewish people being hated or being targeted for so much and so long, what can we do to make other people to understand and stand with Israel beside American or beside European country?
Love the question.
It's a great question. First of all, do you want to repeat it?
Well, the question is, what can you do? I don't care where you're from. You're from Hong Kong originally, but we have Americans, we have Swiss, we have Australians. I don't care where you're from. The Bible has a clear mandate that Israel is God's chosen nation, especially in the end days with the fig tree coming back to life. So the question is, people really don't know how.
Okay.
What does that look like to support Israel? How far do you go? What does the Bible say? And why?
Okay. First of all, most of the anti-Semites are relying on fake and false narrative. So the first thing you need to do is expose them to the truth. For example, this whole Palestine narrative, many of them don't know that there's never been a Palestine as a country in the history of planet Earth. So first of all, disseminate truth. Spread the truth. Give them tools. Take them back to archaeology. Show them history. And then establish credibility when it comes to the Bible. And once the Bible is credible enough in their eyes, because everything it says that happened did happen, we have proofs for that, which obviously it means that everything it says it will happen, then it's easier But if you're looking at people who do not believe in the Bible, there's a lot of Israel defenders that don't believe in the Bible, but they believe in being decent, honest, and a truthful person, to be a truthful person. And so, again, I don't believe that any person that hates the Jews for being Jews or hates Israel can ever base any of those two things on true facts. It will always be on lies and will always be on deception. So, for your sake, if you want to explain to people why they need to stand for Israel and how they need to stand for Israel, first of all, ask them, is truth even something that you are interested in? Because today it's the Jews, tomorrow it's someone else. I mean, you need to read, you need to learn and investigate yourself. Don't parrot things that you see online only. I see more and more people sobering up to the understanding that everything they heard was a big lie, but it's only because they dared to ask the questions and they dared to investigate. Now, as I said before, I think that standing on the side of Israel is a spiritual thing. Beyond facts and beyond current events, it's a spiritual thing. And I do believe with all of my heart that it's a spiritual battle. It's a battle on the truth. It's a battle on the minds of the people. And so you can fight spiritual battles with spiritual weapons. And this is why we believe as a ministry, and that's why we started also Gen Zion right now. We believe that the only way to fight this is by teaching people the Bible, is by exposing people to the Bible, by equipping them with the spiritual weapon that they can fight in this spiritual war. Because it doesn't make any sense. The way the people around the world hate Jews and Israel makes no sense, only if you understand there's a spiritual component to it. And I see a lot of Jewish people, non-believers, they're Orthodox Jews, who will say the same thing. They understand it's spiritual. And I say, if you understand it's spiritual, then you have to fight it in the spiritual. By the way, Balak, the king of Moab, who commissioned Balaam to go and curse Israel, remember? In Numbers 23. Why do you think he commissioned him to curse Israel? Why do you think he paid him money to lift up his oracle and to pronounce a curse on Israel? Because he knew that in the physical he cannot win. And he figured, doesn't make sense how these people always win the war. It has to be a spiritual thing. And since it's a spiritual thing, why don't I move to the spiritual realm? But because it was the spiritual realm, Balaam said, how can I curse him who is not cursed and denounce him who is not denounced? Only when you understand that it's a spiritual thing and you equip people with a spiritual weapon, then they understand that they cannot curse that which is not cursed and denounce that which is not denounced. And by the way, Israel was meant to stand alone and not to reckon itself among the nations. Am levadad ishkon. These are the three words every Israeli knows from what Balaam said in regards to Israel. People that will stand alone. We were never meant to be a nation like all the others. We were never meant to be a nation that should assimilate to other nations. And every time we tried to do that, we suffered and we were punished also. So look back and see what is the portion of all those who cursed us. They were cursed. And all those who blessed us, They were blessed. That alone should be enough for people to make the right decision as for who they're standing with. I want to thank all of you for being here. I know you're tired and hungry, and you maybe even in a need for a shower. Not that I think that, I'm just saying, for sure it's been a long day. Some of you arrived this morning, some of you arrived late last night, so we want to send you to the David's Harp Hotel right in the northern part of the Sea of Galilee. I want to thank everyone for watching our first ever Q&A with a live audience here. We want to invite you to come with us to Israel. We've got tours throughout the year. Be bold. Don't believe the Midianites. Come. And also come to connect and be part of something that we may start doing from now on every once in a while. I want to thank you, Pastor Mike, for moderating it and helping us with this. Continue to pray for this country. There are wars, but there's also rumors of wars. But we know that he that keepeth Israel neither slumbers nor sleep. And we also know that Israel has a future and a hope. And we're not intimidated and we're not afraid. Please subscribe, comment, share, and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Telegram and Instagram. Again, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you. God bless you, and shalom.